I know how this sounds. I made 10,000 in 30 days with one weird trick. But before you roll your eyes or assume this is just another internet hustle, hear me out, because what I'm about to share isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not drop shipping. It's not affiliate spamming. And it definitely isn't one of those just start a YouTube channel answers. What I did was far more strategic, sustainable, and replicable by almost anyone who has internet access and a willingness to learn something new. The trick wasn't magic. It was understanding an overlooked intersection between digital trends and human behavior and acting on it fast. Let's rewind to about 45 days ago. I was scrolling on Reddit when I noticed a random post in a niche community getting tens of thousands of upvotes in just a few hours. It wasn't anything dramatic, no scandal, no viral memes, just someone explaining how they built a custom productivity tracker using Notion. But what hit me was the reaction. People weren't just liking it, they were begging for templates, asking how to get it, if it was for sale, and if they could customize it. That was the moment the light bulb went off. I realized there was huge demand, but very little supply when it came to simple, beautiful, functional digital tools designed for specific audiences. So I decided to test something. I spent a weekend building a Notion template, nothing crazy. It was a freelance business dashboard designed specifically for people trying to get serious about freelancing. It tracked client projects, invoicing, deadlines, outreach, all in one place. I didn't hire a developer. I didn't need any funding. All it took was some time, some design sense, and an understanding of what freelancers actually needed. I put it together, packaged it nicely, and uploaded it to a marketplace for digital products. Here's where the weird trick part comes in. Not the product, but the way I launched it. I didn't run ads. I didn't pay influencers. Instead, I wrote a genuine story on Reddit, just like the one that inspired me. I explained how I created a system that helped me land clients, stay organized, and double my output. Then I linked the free version of the template with an optional paid version. The result in 24 hours, I made 470. That was my first taste that this could work, but I didn't stop there. Over the next few days, I iterated. I improved the visuals, made short tutorial videos, and started posting in multiple communities, not just Reddit, but also Facebook groups, Slack channels, and sub-niches on Twitter. The secret was not selling. I didn't push the product. I shared the problem it solved. Every time I posted, I explained a challenge freelancers face, like forgetting to follow up with leads or not knowing which clients were overdue on payments. Then I showed how my system made that easier. People responded to that. The posts weren't sales pitches, they were relatable stories with real solutions. And every time I posted, sales went up. By the end of week 2, I had made 200. That's when I realized this could be something much bigger. So I created a mini ecosystem. I bundled 3 more templates, one for social media managers, one for content creators, and one for startup founders. Instead of launching them all at once, I staggered them over 2 weeks, using the same playbook: real stories, honest solutions, and communities that already had the problem I was solving. This system let me grow fast without ever paying for traffic. All of it was organic. All of it was based on trust. Let's talk numbers. In total, I made 14360 in exactly 30 days. Over 200 people downloaded at least one of my templates. Around 18% opted to pay for the premium versions. The most surprising part is about 60% of my revenue came from upsells. Things like a freelancer starter pack, which included a Notion dashboard, an invoice template, and a quick start guide to finding clients. People weren't just buying a template, they were buying momentum. That's the part most creators miss. Now here's the exact step-by-step of how I pulled this off and how you can do it too, even if you've never built a digital product in your life. Step 1: identify a niche with underserved problems. Start by looking at what people complain about in niche online spaces. Reddit, Twitter, indie forums. These are gold mines. What can I sell? Think, what do people repeatedly say is broken, annoying, or confusing? In my case, it was freelancers not having a clear system to manage their work. That was a pain point. Where there's pain, there's opportunity. Step 20: build a minimum viable solution. Don't overthink it. My first version was ugly, but it worked. That's what mattered. If you're not into Notion, use what you know. Maybe it's Google Sheets, Canva, Trello, or even just a PDF. You're not selling perfection. You're selling clarity. A way for someone to move forward when they're stuck. Start small. Build one thing that solves one problem well. Step 30: package the product like it's worth 10x the price. This is where most people fall short. You might have the best template or tool, but if it looks amateurish, it won't sell. So I invested time, not money, into polish. Clean visuals, clear copywriting, simple instructions. If you make it feel premium, people will treat it that way. Think Apple, not Craigslist. Step 4: tell the right story in the right place. This was the game changer. I didn't say, buy my product. I said, here's a problem I had, here's what I tried, and here's what finally worked. I framed my posts like journal entries or lessons learned. I offered free versions with optional upgrades, and I posted where the audience already existed. That's key. You don't have to build an audience from scratch if you go where the audience already is. Step 5: create a feedback loop and iterate. After every sale, I asked for feedback. What did they like? What confused them? What was missing? That gave me ideas for new features, add-ons, and bundles. Every improvement I made was based on what real people told me. That's how I knew I was building things people wanted, not just things I thought were cool. Step 60: add a system for repeat buyers. Once I had multiple products, I started offering bundles, subscriptions, and even early access to new tools. I wasn't just selling a file, I was building a micro brand, a trusted source. That meant I could keep growing without constantly starting from zero. Every new launch was faster and more profitable than the last. And now for the part everyone waits for, was it easy? No, but it was simple. There's a big difference. I didn't use fancy tools. I didn't have followers. I didn't go viral. I followed a system that anyone can replicate if they're willing to put in focused, intentional effort. The weird trick wasn't really weird at all. It was just listening carefully, solving real problems, and showing up where the people who needed help were already hanging out. If I had to do it all over again, I'd do one thing differently. I would have started earlier. I spent years learning skills, design, writing, psychology, but I never packaged them. I never realized that simple package value is one of the most powerful business models online. You don't need to be famous. You don't need capital. You need to solve one small problem clearly and put it in front of the right people. So if you're sitting on a skill, whether it's organizing, designing, writing, managing, coding, ask yourself, what's one thing I do that other people constantly struggle with? Then build a solution around that. Make it clean, make it helpful, and put it out there. You might just be one weekend away from your first $100 or their 10,000. You'll never know until you try. In the next video, I'll show you exactly how I built my first template, screen by screen. I'll also break down how I set up my product page, how I wrote the copy, and how I got my first 100 customers. But before we go there, let this sink in. Digital products aren't the future. They're the present. And with the right approach, they could be your present too.